Kyle Neddenriep joining us from the IndyStar. We're just talking about Carmel, and they've been blessed so far this season in their 2 games. Kyle, they down 17 at Louisville Trinity, and come back to win. That's a feat. Last week, when was it the last play of the game, a 35-yard touchdown, something like that? They went on again.
You mean Carmel? You talking about Carmel?
Carmel, there you go. I did Carmel, exactly. Carmel and Lagudi we got going this morning.
No, Carmel's been, that's a great start for them and kind of what you need, headed into play Center Grove this weekend. With their backup quarterback, last second Hail Mary pass, and they get it down the field and beat Detroit King, which is very good. Always has a lot of 4-star type, 3-star talent and a lot of playmakers. So, to win that game, I think, now two big wins. As we know, Louisville Trinity doesn't lose very often, and Carmel's had trouble with them the last couple of years. So, and their Trinity's replacing quite a few guys this year too, in fairness to them. But, the only issue I see with Carmel really is that their quarterback, Zach Osborne, was dinged up, had to leave that game, and it wasn't him who threw the Hail Mary pass. So, they're going to need him.
Kid. What did a JV kid?
It was a kid who was actually like 4th string a couple of weeks ago. Kind of worked his way into that second string spot and came up in a big moment. So pretty cool. Pretty cool to see that. But
that tells you, man, don't quit. Don't quit, especially a quarterback. How many times on any level have we seen that happen? I don't know, 4th string to do that at that level. I don't know. That's nuts for that to happen. But don't quit, man. You just never know.
It's funny. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day about a kid who was a backup, got named a backup. Thought he had earned the starting spot and transferred immediately. And I guess that was kind of always here in the background of it. That was kind of always the plan by his dad. If he wasn't the starter, he's going to leave. But in football, I mean, you just never know. One ankle or one separated shoulder, and quarterback, you can only play one guy. So you can't, it's not like linebacker where you got 3 or 4 of them out there. You can only have one guy at a time. But any injury, you could be the next man to step up there and have your opportunity and then, earn your spot, and I don't think in Carmel's case, it's not a case if Osborne's healthy and back and ready, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the area. He'll be right back in there. But what a great moment for that kid to come in and do that. And kind of prove to his teammates, hey, I can, if worse comes to worse and our quarterback goes out, I can come in and do the job too. So, that's what sports is all about, stepping up to your opportunity and earning your chance to do more then. So, but I will see, Center Grove, coming up this week, Carmel's going to need Zach Osborne to play. John Hebert, the Carmel coach, said I talked to him on Sunday or Sunday, I think it was, and he wasn't sure on the timetable at that point of Osborne's recovery, but I would assume he'll play. It's not a super serious injury, so I think he'll be out there and ready to go and give it a shot against Center Grove on Friday.
As Ross points out, it will be standing room only, no cash ticket sales, online purchases only. If you're planning on headed to the game and don't have a ticket already, it's hard to imagine saying that for a high school game. And on top of that, I noticed that Center Grove ascended to the number 1 spot. Wasn't Carmel number 1 in the poll? And how do you win 2 games in the fashion that they've won by beating Louisville Trinity, a power, and Detroit King, and then drop a spot?
Well, Center Grove has been number 1. They were number 1 coming in, so they've just held on to,
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, they've held on to that spot. I think pretty clearly number 1, and we'll find out the difference in 1 and 2 if there is any difference in 1 and 2 on Friday. Again, I've heard from people this week saying it's a pretty wide gap still. And last year Center Grove handled Carmel easily. I think this is a Carmel team that's better than it was a year ago. But like I said, if you don't have your starting quarterback ready to go and geared up, that's a whole nother problem against the Center Grove defense that they have. If they have Zach Osborne, I think they've got a chance to do some things, maybe not win the game, but be in the game. But Center Grove's just been so dominant the first 2 weeks and all of last year. And I even in watching them in the scrimmage, I'm like, I think this team might even be better than they were last year, which is crazy.
Yeah, because what all I was going to ask, what have they lost? I know they lost their running back who was down at IU running over people like a tank. But what else did they lose? Anything? Because they still have their bug gun at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean they lost a few guys. I mean they did lose some talented players. Connor Delp, who's down at IU as like a slot receiver. They lost. You mentioned Carson Steele was the running back, their big horse at running back. He's actually at Ball State. Was Mr. Football last year. So there were some pieces, but you could tell like 2 years ago when they made it to the state championship game, they lost to Carmel in a close game in the 6A championship. That was 2019. And you look up and down the roster, and the guys who are playing a lot were coming back, and a lot of them for 2 years. They had a great sophomore class. So you knew that this was kind of a 2-year window for Center Grove to be really, really good. And so far, that's been the case. They've not had any problem living up to those expectations so far. And that was, talking to Eric Moore, their coach, in right before the season. That was kind of the concern. Like, do they have that edge to kind of play like they did last year and want to prove it to the world how good they are? That's kind of the issue sometimes is when you've won one, you kind of get a little bit complacent. I don't think that's been an issue so far. And, sometimes a loss does you good. And sometimes, it kind of sharpens that focus. But, through the first 2 weeks, Warren Central and Decatur Central haven't had the ability to stay with them. And we'll see if Carmel does. I think Carmel's probably the best team they've played so far. But again, we'll see what the gap is between 1 and potentially 1 and 2, or whoever 2 is. I don't know if it's Carmel or not, but shoot, maybe they're number 1. We'll see. It's always fun to see. I think it'll be a good challenge for Center Grove and also a chance for Carmel to kind of see where they're at right now too.